You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 57 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast, where it's just a mere 340 days until episode 8 drops. We can do this, guys. We got this. So lots of Star Wars news to talk about this week. Excited to be back in the podcast booth in the studio here at Tumbling Saber Studios. And let's say hi to the team. Corey, what's going on?
What's going on, brother? I'm sick, but I'm here. And I'm glad to be here.
What a trooper. Death Trooper, Sand Trooper, Snow Trooper, what? I guess you're a Snow Trooper today, right?
Oh my god, it's insanely cold again. Like, yeah, I've had some time off recently, and oof, god, it's been cold. But tonight is, I guarantee you, it's colder than it was on Hoth.
You're not going to get any argument from me. That fire here has been stoked all day. It's like a sauna in here right now. But James, how you doing, buddy?
Doing terrific. Just want to point out that by the time this show airs, it'll be a day past Corey's birthday. So happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday.
Nothing like being sick on your birthday.
Yeah. I'm warding it. I'm fighting it off, though. Like, I ate a whole bulb of garlic yesterday night. I was like, I'm going to do this. It could have been a bad mistake. It was really spicy.
Are you catching a cold or are you catching vampires?
Yeah, I don't know. I was just like, it's like mind over matter for me. Like, I had all this, like, I'm telling you, like, it hasn't got a full hold on me yet, you know? I feel it's there, but I've been, like, fighting it, you know?
Keep up the fight.
Yeah.
Next, you should just grab a whole piece of ginger and just chew on that for a while.
Yeah, why not?
Telling you feel much better. So, guys, Rogue One continuing to roll at the box office. It's won 4 weekends in a row now since being released, and sits at a nice round 477 million domestic and 437 international after opening a pretty sad opening weekend in China. And anyway, so it's got a total of $914.4 million. And guess what? That places it in the top 10 earning movies of all time. That was fast.
Very fast.
Imagine how fast it would have climbed and how much higher it could have climbed if not for that boycott.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they really set Rogue One back, didn't they? And it's funny. We haven't heard from those guys recently. That's interesting to me.
Well, Mom probably said, "Clean up the basement, guys,"
or move out of my basement. Get out of here. So Rogue One now at number 9 all time.
That's amazing. What do you think it'll? Let's
actually
give some quick predictions.
I think it might actually move up to number. It's probably at number 8 by now. I think it probably just slipped past Phantom Menace at number 8.
Oh wow,
that's
surprising.
Which means this it's going to be sad. It may have actually did it. No, it would have just traded places. So here's the crazy thing: of the top 10 North American earning movies of all time, 4 of them are Star Wars movies.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so the
As
list
it should be.
The list was provided by Rogue One writer, or one of the writers of Rogue One, Gary Whitta. So The Force Awakens is at number 1, then Avatar, Titanic, Jurassic World, The Avengers, The Dark Knight, Finding Dory. Man, Finding Dory even got way up there.
Well, yeah, because this is the kind of list that's using. We've done this before, but it's using dollars. Current dollars are Finding Dory's a modern movie, so it's going to be up on the list.
Yeah. This does not take into account inflation.
Exactly, but still,
that's an entirely different list. So Phantom Menace. Now I guess Rogue One, then Phantom Menace, then the original Star Wars, and that's it. That's your top 10.
Wow.
crazy how Rogue One just got onto that list so quickly. When
It's
people
not a-
were wondering, how is this movie going to do?
It's not a surprise that it happened, but this quickly, it's a surprise. Because it's not done yet. Like, I still plan on going to see it again. I'm sure you guys do as well. So that being said, where do you think this thing's going to end up in the long run?
I think it'll catch Finding Dory. It'll certainly catch Finding Dory. I don't know that it will catch The Dark Knight at number 6. That's at 534. We'll call it 535 million. Maybe. I think it might hit. It can get as high as 6, but it won't. It certainly won't catch The Avengers at 623. That's too far.
Yeah, unless I see it with you guys, I don't think I will see it again. I mean, I saw it, not that it hasn't hit my wallet up already for 3 shows, but yeah, I don't know that I'll see it again unless it's with you guys.
I intended to see it this weekend, just life got in the way once again,
I hear
as
you.
it often does, and here we are on Sunday night, and I'm Rogue One free. Still, it's been since opening weekend since I've seen it. I'm getting a little bit heartsick.
Yeah, I'm kind of ashamed of you, actually.
You should be. I'm ashamed of myself.
Good.
Well, I want now that you've taken it down that toilet. Let's. I wanted to bring the show back and bring an uplifting story here. You guys may have seen this circulating through social media this weekend. It was something that was retweeted and shared by Diego Luna. We know him as Cassian Andor from Rogue One. And he shared, I don't know if this is a Facebook post or an Instagram post, by a user named River Always Knew. So I'll read that post here. And it goes a little something like this. He says, I took my father to see Rogue One today. I've wanted to take him for a while. I wanted my Mexican father, with his thick Mexican accent, to experience what it was like to see a hero in a blockbuster film speak the way he does. And although I wasn't sure it was going to resonate with him, I took him anyway. When Diego Luna's character came on screen and started speaking, my dad nudged me and said, he has a heavy accent. I was like, yep. When the film was over and we were walking to the car, he turns to me and says, did you notice that he had an accent? And I said, yeah, Dad, just like yours. Then my dad asked me if the film had made a lot of money. I told him it was the second highest grossing film of 2016, despite it only being out for 18 days in 2016, since the new year had just came around. He then asked me if people liked the film. I told him that it had a huge following online and great reviews. He then asked me why Diego Luna hadn't changed his accent, and I told him that Diego Luna has openly talked about keeping his accent and how proud he is of it. And my dad was silent for a while, and then he said, and he was a main character. And I said he was. And my dad was so happy. As we drove home, he started telling me about other Mexican actors that he thinks should be in movies in America. Representation matters. I like that story. I thought that was a really nice story. It's something
Terrific story.
The three of us never had to think about this kind of thing growing up. Every single movie that we love catered to us, built in. We'd identified with almost every one of the heroes on some level. This was never an issue for us. And I'm glad to see a story like this, as brief as it is, get passed around. And it certainly resonated with me, and I hope it resonated with others. And by sharing it here, that the story makes the rounds a little bit more. And I think Star Wars, Lucasfilm, should be commended for doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. Diversity is important. You can't be what you can't see. So I love it. I think, and you're right. This is something that's out of our was out of our scope for a really long time, and we're lucky to be on the inside looking out. But yeah, it's great to see. I think it's terrific.
Yeah, I have to say, like, Disney's really grabbed the bull by the horns on this one. When you look at some of the children's things they got going on TV, movies recently, like, so many of them are, like, female-based and just so diverse.
Yeah, hopefully our kids and their kids don't have to deal with all the nonsense that is currently plaguing our media, our social media, and all this other stuff that's in front of our face all the time, and it just becomes normalized, right?
Agreed.
Yeah, I thought, well, there we go. We can start the show off on a nice positive note.
I like
Yeah,
to
I
think
saw
it's a good
that.
start.
I saw that tweet.
Nobody's
though,
going to disagree with that.
I saw Diego Luna tweet that out, and I think in his tweet he said that it brought a tear to his eye and everything. Like, it is a nice story.
You know, just as I finished saying that nobody's going to disagree with that, I said to myself, of course there's going to be people that disagree with that.
There always are.
All right, so let's get back to Rogue One here for just a second. Although it's been a while since I've seen it, as I mentioned, it's never far from my mind. I guess in light of not being able to see it for quite some time, I try to play the movie back in my mind. And so there's a scene in A New Hope. It's actually the very first scene, and it's the dialogue between Vader and Leia, and it's full of discrepancies. And we'll get to all of them at some point, but I want to talk to you guys about this specific one, and if it bothers you. It's I guess it's more of a nitpick, but I want to know if it bothers you. So Vader says to Leia after she's captured, several transmissions were beamed to the ship by rebel spies. And my first thing about that now, no, they weren't beamed to the ship. They were handed by a data tape that you saw, Vader. Nothing was beamed to the ship.
They were beamed from Scarif. And then they had to record the disc on board the ship and then pass it off.
I guess, but the ship in question did not get beamed plans. It was on a data disk that he saw, that James so famously said he should have just taken, because he's Darth Vader, goddammit.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it bothers me, but and I hadn't noticed it, even though I have watched A New Hope since. It sort of just slipped by me, but I chalk it up to it could be a couple of different things. First of all, maybe there were transmissions, beamed to that ship that aren't the specific plans he's talking about, and he doesn't want to give away his hand and talk about the disc that just slipped through his fingers. So I can retrofit it and sort of make it make sense, even though it's obviously an oversight.
Yeah, I think Corey's explanation is probably the easiest, in that, yes, they beamed the plans to Admiral Radiss's ship, which were then copied to a disk and then handed to the Tantive 4 crew.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a minor nitpick.
No, you got to pick those nits. That's what we do.
It's definitely what we do. It's our job. That's what they pay us for.
Hey, it's my birthday. I'm not forgetting this.
Well, when we talk about your 36th birthday in the future, I want you to remember this conversation. The day we nitpicked A New Hope.
Yeah, and I was like, you're so lame, man.
You're getting more eloquent and verbose in your old age.
Yeah.
You're so lame, man. Sounds like some splish splashing over there, Corey.
Yeah, my wife's, she's draining the bath.
How big is your bathtub?
I don't know. She's weird like that. Like, she'll drain a bit, add more hot water.
I for some reason in my head, I'm picturing the Pretty Woman scene.
You should, man. My wife's hot.
No, but I meant where they're both in the tub. Like, it sounds like you're in there in the bathroom with her.
It's funny though. Like, I can see that it's not recording, but this is the first time I use the computer to record or Skype with you guys anyhow. So that's probably why you're hearing it, but it's not coming up on the recording.
We'll have to add it in so we don't look
chop
silly.
rules in a tub.
Hell yeah, we still got to talk about our bucket list later. So,
Well, way to give things away. Jesus.
oh yeah,
It's a prelude.
yeah.
All right, time to talk about some news, fellas. Let's get this one out of the way, because I'm sure it's going to be controversial. It definitely will be, but this coming week, the Star Wars brain trust over at Lucasfilm, they're going to get together and they're going to try and get past their grief and discuss episode 8 and 9 in the absence of Carrie Fisher. And I don't want to necessarily get into what they must do or what they should do. For my part, I think that these people running the show, they know Carrie Fisher well enough, going back literally decades. In the case of Kathleen Kennedy, she's known Carrie Fisher for ages. I trust them enough, and I trust that their heart's in the right place on a very personal level, that whatever they do will be the right thing for the character and for Carrie Fisher herself. So whether it's CG Leia or they recast the role and hand it to a flesh and blood actress, I'm down. I'm fine with whatever decision they make. But my caveat here is that I don't think in any way should the role of Leia be reduced or have her written out in some unfitting way. I don't know, James. What do you think?
Well, to make a good show, I should disagree, but I don't. I totally agree with everything you said. I think I'm more on board to see flesh and blood. But even if they went CGI, I'd be okay with that. They're proving that they're taking steps to get it, as close as they can to eye fooling. So I guess I would support them even if they went that route. But I agree. I hope they don't. And certainly because of maybe pressure, which they'll have from all sides. You should write her in more. You should take her right out. Like, everybody will have an opinion. But I hope they don't write her out just because, they feel like they should write her out or something. Because I'm sure she would want to be in it at least as much as she was supposed to be.
Yeah, I think that they just need to follow through with the story. I'm sure the story that they've come up with is riveting. And we suspect anyway that she's going to be part of 2 scenes. One of them, a reunion with Luke, which I hope maybe has happened in episode 8, which is taken care of. And then a reunion with her son, Kylo Ren. I don't know if that's been filmed or if that is an episode 9 thing. I have absolutely no idea. But those are 2 scenes that still absolutely must happen. So I hope they don't change plans for that. Corey, do you agree with that, or what's your call?
Well, I do agree with you in the sense that whatever they do, I trust in them to do it right and do by Carrie Fisher right. But they're going to be walking a fine line, that's for sure. And, with what happened in The Force Awakens, because of the reaction to The Force Awakens, a lot of things changed in the script for 8 and 9. Now, I don't want to minimize her role either, but I wouldn't be surprised if, in some way, shape, or form, this tragic event does indeed help to shape the story. And who knows, maybe it, in some weird way, can make the story more riveting or more capturing, or, you know what I mean? But I do, in the bottom line, I do think that this, well, one way or another, is going to affect the storyline. Let it be, like you guys said, using CGI or, like writing around certain things and changing the story up a bit. But I don't want to see her character minimized in any way. Like, she already didn't get enough screen time, really, in Part 7, right?
Yeah, I mean, that movie moves so quickly and has to set up so much that, yeah, she was, unfortunately, one of the roles that maybe was underserved. So, yeah, I mean, she was supposed to have a bigger role in 8 and even larger role in 9. And I hope they stick to that. There's definitely, like James said, they've gotten closer with the CG thing. So if they want to do that and spend even more money and more time in getting that right, perfect, great, go for it. If you want to get a new actress in there to be the Leia for however much longer we need her, great, do that too. But you know what? On that note, imagine the pressure that would be on that actress, or how intimidated she must feel to step into that role, which I presume would be for a one and done type role. Man, that pressure would be immense.
Even for Disney too, to make that decision and come out with that announcement, like you said, it's almost like a lose-lose. No matter what they do, people are gonna be like, blah blah blah, you're horrible.
Oh yeah, there's no matter what they do. If they decide to go computer they will get ripped if they decide to recast the role. Oh, they're disrespecting Carrie Fisher. They can't really win with this. All they have to do is just plow ahead with their plans and complete her story arc as they'd planned originally, I think.
I agree with you. I know we can't tangent too much because we've got a packed show, but really quickly, if they did the right time frame, what do you think of 11 from Stranger Things as a young Leia?
Love it.
So many people, I've seen that on Twitter quite a bit, and perfect. Like I saw side by side photos and stuff, and she looks like she's got the attitude too. So
Dave Donovan,
I'm sure that girl has. I can't remember Billy something, right?
That does sound right.
I can't remember her name, but yeah, I would say she's got the chops, no doubt about it, to pull off the role.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want, and boy, she's still young enough that if you really wanted to, you could have her be the next generation Leia for years and years, if they could make that work.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I like it. I like her.
Have you? How are you doing with Stranger Things? Speaking of not tangenting too much.
Oh, I'm done. We blew through season 1 in 2 days.
Amazing, eh?
Yeah, the kids were away, and I can see Corey over there. He's like clenching his teeth because I should have been watching Rebels
and Westworld.
But Stranger Things is honestly one of the best new shows I've seen in a very long time.
Oh, it was just so compelling. You just wanted to just get episode after episode in.
Yep. It was great for binging. And I think it helped a lot to be a child of the 80s.
I think so. Yeah, I haven't seen... Like, we've seen a lot of shows set in the 80s. Like, The Goldbergs is set in the 80s. But it doesn't look like or feel like the 80s. Not that I'm a big Goldbergs watcher, but this show... I mean, right from the opening titles, you feel like you're watching something on a ratty old VHS copy.
They definitely took the time to get the look right. I would say that the Goldbergs, you're a bit wrong. You're a bit off on the Goldbergs. They do put in a lot of really detailed stuff, but yeah, nothing like Stranger Things.
Yeah, this was next level. Maybe I'm being too hard on the Goldbergs, but maybe it's because Stranger Things set the bar so high.
No, there hasn't been anything like this since the 80s that looked like this. Yeah.
All right, so quick wrapping up that tangent. Going back to Leia here before we move on. So, do you think whatever decision they make, should Leia's daughter be consulted, or should she, taking a step further, should she approve of whatever choice they make?
No disrespect, but like, was she looking over scripts when her mom had the role? Like, it's just irrelevant to me.
Yeah, I think this kind of can lead back into Ad's question from last week in regards to, their image and stuff. Like, I would think that there's some kind of contract in place when they're signing off on all this Star Wars stuff and the legal jargon behind it all. I'm pretty sure that's in there too, in the unfortunate circumstance, if something happens to you, we still kind of want to work with your character or our character or whatever,
Well, Disney's getting or Lucasfilm, one of the two, is getting a $50 million payout because of all this. Because every contract, whether it's in pro sports or in showbiz, these contracts are insured. And Leia's contract was, I guess, insured for $50 million should she not be able to fulfill her obligations. So, $50 million to Lucasfilm and or Disney or some split. And I guess good for them.
Yeah.
But James, I tend to agree. I mean, I think it'd be just out of courtesy, respect, I suppose, they should just run it by her. Say, this is what we're planning. We just want to run it past you and hopefully get your endorsement. But this is what we're thinking. And I also wonder if they would speak to Mark Hamill, just off the top of my head. I wonder if they would ask Mark Hamill, being someone who acted with Carrie Fisher so long ago, and having the Luke and Leia reunion being such a key scene. which may or may not be filmed already, maybe they'd ask him what his preference would be. Would you rather look somebody else in the eye as Leia, or eventually would you rather see a CG Leia? Maybe they get his input. I think they would probably ask his opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. They might out of courtesy. The problem with asking opinions out of courtesy is, what do you do if you don't get the answer you were expecting?
Yeah, that's the, I guess the flip side of that coin. If they're like, no, I feel very strongly about this, and I want you to do B when you said you want to do A, and if you go ahead with your plan, I'll be really upset.
Yeah, no good.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say, I'm gonna first of all go there and say, like, I'm all in, put all my chips in on the. I don't think they're gonna hire another actress to do that role.
Well, that means we know there will be an actor there. It's just whether or not they paint over her.
Yeah, exactly, with like they did with Tarkin, but they won't just choose someone else like they do in the soap operas where this one guy one day was this guy and now, he's pretty much got, or what they did with Aunt Vivian in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Good callback. I remember not being jarred by that. That's not Aunt Vivian. What are they trying to pull? What happened?
Am I older than you guys, or was it Becky on Roseanne for me?
Becky on Roseanne's another one. That was jarring.
Oh man, what the heck?
I feel like there was another one on the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Was it Denise?
Yeah.
No, it was the oldest one.
Sandra.
Sandra
was recast?
I think so. And wasn't there? Yeah, anyways, it's happened more than once.
Back to the Future. The role of Jennifer was eventually turned over to Elizabeth Shue.
2, it was Elizabeth Shue, but who was it in 1?
Leah Thomas, I think?
No,
that's his mom.
That's, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Lorraine Baines. Come on, Corey. What's the matter with you?
I'll look that up as we plow ahead.
Jennifer something, I want to say.
Oh, Jennifer Jason Leigh?
No, or maybe Claudia something? I don't know. I'm just spitting out random names here. All right, guys, here's some cool news. I think we all got excited about this one. So, from making Star Wars, Woody Harrelson to play Han's mentor in the Han Solo spin-off film? How cool would that be?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's funny, like I read in the show notes, like I had heard about it as well. I didn't get around to reading the article, So I started writing a bit of show notes, and I got the words Haymitch Abernathy, and then I go ahead and read the article, and it's literally about a short paragraph.
Wait, was that a literally, or was that a muffed literally?
Yeah, it was a muffed literally. I'm sick, man.
Are you drinking?
Not really.
Not really is a yes.
Not really?
Yeah, well, I had a drink.
You either are or you aren't.
I had a coffee before I started, but I had a few beer, or I had a Caesar and a beer at dinner. I went out for dinner for my birthday.
The first sign of a problem is that you can't really admit or remember what you're doing.
Wow, whatever. I'm fine.
Claudia Wells.
There we go.
Yeah, I have no idea. I think that was a one and done.
Yeah, she only did the first one.
She had and I don't think she had a very lengthy career beyond that. That is her claim to fame, I think.
Yeah, looks like it.
All right, so James, how happy or stoked would you be to see Woody in Star Wars?
I really liked it, except I hope he doesn't play that guy he played from the
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
They said Haymitch Abernathy.
Yeah,
right over your head.
Haymitch. Well, I didn't read the teenage girl book yet. Corey,
you just saw the movie version.
I didn't watch that either. But I know I'm aware of it. And that like weird. Like I hope they don't make him too weird. That's my only concern about it.
Yeah, that is a comparison that is almost like a direct parallel. And I hope they don't go down that road. I would like to see, because he's a good actor.
He is a great actor.
I mean, for me, he's still going to be Woody from Cheers, and I think he always will be. But he's definitely shown during his career that he can definitely stretch beyond that and do some pretty intense stuff. Natural Born Killers. What else has he been in?
White Men Can't Jump.
Yeah.
Great movie.
What's the one with the guy from something Mr. Flint?
The Incredible Mr.
The Incredible Mr. Flint. The People versus.
Yeah.
Oh, People versus Larry Flint. That's true.
Yeah, and he had some serious acting muscle in all of those. Again, proving once again that comedic actors often are the best ones.
Yeah, when they get the chance. I think this would be perfect, to be honest. Like, and they should play into that. Like, we know who Han Solo is. He's a scoundrel. So I could totally see this guy, Woody Harrelson, falling into that low-life scoundrel, like, bag, you know? The comedy, you can see where Han's going to get his brashness, his sarcasm, the cockiness.
And
I just hope he's cool. I hope they make him cool.
Yeah, you don't want to see him be like a fake.
Like a
Somebody
Pee
who
Herman.
is actually like quick on the draw or something like that, you know?
I want him to be really awesome and not pretend awesome.
Yeah, I want to have the conversation. Like, if Woody does end up getting cast, I want to see the movie, be so impressed with that character that we start talking about spin-off movies for that character. That's how in love I want to be with that guy.
That'd be nice.
I kind of see his character taking more of the role of like Vince Vaughn in Swingers, where you think he's super cool throughout most of it, and then by the end you're kind of just like Han's kind of like done with him, you know?
I'm just waiting for the part where Corey says, and he sacrifices himself for Han so that Han can get away.
No, Han washes his hands of him. Dead to me.
Huh. No sacrifice, huh?
All right, so Woody, he's in. I find it doesn't. Yeah, I'm not as stoked about it as some of the other announcements. I say I'm lukewarm.
So this is a Bendu for you,
I Bendu that bad boy.
Corey?
Full on Ashla, full throttle.
Yeah, that's a pretty enthusiastic ass Ashla for me. I would love to see Woody in a Star Wars movie for sure. All right, so sticking with the Han Solo movie again, making Star Wars, and they've picked up a rumor that would see Han Solo moved from May of 2018 to December, the usual time frame that we've become accustomed to, mid-December of 2018. You guys on board with that? Do you want should I guess this all boils down to, should Lucasfilm just commit to owning the holiday season until it's taken from them, or should they do what Lucasfilm has traditionally done and done a late May springtime release, or should they do both, mix it up? Corey, what do you think?
It's kind of a tough question. From a business standpoint, which is why they're probably talking about it now, it makes sense, seeing as how, you know, they're raking in all kinds of dough at Christmas time. But I guess it also depends on what's coming out at that time of year. And I think the only thing that Star Wars will ever have to fear is Avatar, for the time being anyhow. So...
Well, wasn't Avatar scheduled for 2018 at this time, which is why Han Solo was originally placed in the May slot?
It's possible. Maybe they don't want to go toe-to-toe with that franchise, but who knows? Maybe they're saying, you know what, move over, James Cameron, you take the May slot, or whatever, you know?
Well, yeah, that's. I wonder if because, I mean, it's odd that this story comes out now after Rogue One is blowing the doors off the box office. Maybe they just feel like, you know what? Hell with it. Whatever we do is going to turn to gold. So let's move it to Christmas of 2018, and we'll make Avatar deal with us. Because that movie, it seems, I don't know how on track that movie is. It seems like it's always, yes, it's on, it's delayed, it's off. It seems to be in this really weird flux state. So I wonder if they're just deciding, you know what, Christmas is ours, and if you want to take a bite, come and get it.
Yeah. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Titanic came out right around Christmas, and so did Avatar. So maybe, James Cameron, he figured something out there that he made enormous amounts of money on both those films as well. So, I could see him laying claim to it as well.
I think in those cases, it was more to do with, a late year release so that you can be fresh on the minds of the award voters for Golden Globes or the old globs, as they've been calling it in advertising. And the Oscars. I wonder if that was why they were later releases. Whereas for Star Wars, I guess the natural reason is that you would love to own the Christmas season and just tie that in with holiday shopping.
I wonder too, with all these, like they keep moving this around to Christmas. I wonder if it has to do with the success of Rogue One, in part. If they're like, if they sort of had banked on something to the idea of saying like, we can count on, whatever, $500 million off Rogue One, and then we'll do a May release and get another $500 million, and then so we'll make $1 billion a year, and then boom, Rogue One blows up, and they think, well, is that the best plan, or should we release one a year since it did so well? Like, I wonder if that's changing their plans.
Well, I kind of thought the same thing for a bit as well, but we know all the movies that are planned until at least 2020.
Yeah, but the schedule isn't firm. And the other thing is, I wonder also if that changed. Like they were supposed to be doing the Boba Fett movie for sure, and then the director who was attached, released that crappy. What was the movie called? The
Floptastic 4.
Yeah, that's the one. I thought we had something better than that.
No, don't look at me. You're the wordsmith.
Well, not tonight. I'm stumbling over everything.
I like Floptastic.
Floptastic's good. Floptastic 4. But yeah, so maybe that changed the schedule.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, I guess for the layman like us, the last 2 years have been really memorable. I think we've had a lot of fun with the whole lead up. Like, you start the year fresh, and then you build towards the end of the year with this big crescendo of a Star Wars movie. I think that's been kind of fun. And I know I'm leaving out all business considerations on the side with that, but selfishly, I think between us, and I mean us as in all of fandom, has just really enjoyed the ride. With each of the last 2 years leading up to a huge Star Wars release, and I part of me really hopes they stick with that.
I kind of see what you're saying there. I like the way you said it with the year-end crescendo. Like, I don't want to say it because, I've had a lot of fun doing it too, but God, it's been cold. I had they done it differently and stuck with May, it could be one of those, the grass is greener on the other side kind of things, It's always greener, but, I liked seeing them in May back in the day, it was kind of spring.
Yeah, May is usually spring.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's something about spring too, It's like things are coming to life. It's a changing of the season, like Star Wars time. But I get what you're saying too. From a marketing standpoint, it makes the most sense because you could just flood, just get in everybody's ear holes and eyeballs all the time.
Yeah, I mean, and they certainly have dominated the last 2 holiday seasons. I mean, The Force Awakens, I don't know how many weeks in a row it won after its release, and now here we are with Rogue One winning its 4th week in a row. I mean, they own it right now. So I'm gonna stick I'm gonna go Ashla again. I think I've been all Ashla so far in 2017. I'm starting to not like myself. There's too much positivity.
That's a good thing, man.
So, what are you guys doing? Are you Ashlaying this, or Boganning, or Bendoing?
That's Ashla for me too. This is good news.
Yeah, I'll take the Bendu just because I'm not sure. Like, I'd like to have warmer weather while I was seeing them, just for that one thing.
Well, I will never forget that walk from Madison's, the restaurant we ate at? Yeah, we ate at Madison's and then walking over to the cinema. That walk between the two buildings was absolutely frigid.
Yeah, it was like torture.
Oh,
It's
that
like you're
was
on another
that was-
planet.
That was not good. But you know what? If it was a mild 12 degrees like it would be in May or 15 degrees, I wouldn't be talking about it. I wouldn't remember it. It would just be your typical May day or evening.
Yeah, beautiful.
Boring. Not memorable.
Let's suffer for Star Wars.
Yep. All right, guys, time to break into some Rebels talk here. I know this must excite Corey a tremendous amount. So, Corey, comicbookresources.com has a little report here that another Rogue One character may be coming to Star Wars Rebels. And we're not talking about Saw Gerrera. We're talking about some of the fulcrum characters. We've already done Ahsoka. We are in the midst of Callus's storyline. But here we go with the rumor that Cassian Andor could pop up in Rebels at some point. Now, is that something you'd be excited to see?
Of course. I think the timeline's perfectly, like, I think it was Ads that sent us the image from his Rogue One dictionary or visual guide, I believe, where it says that he's a Fulcrum agent, which we all thought was really cool. It could have been also been in that book as well, but I read somewhere that I'm pretty sure he's had K2 for about 2-3 years, which would kind of fall perfectly into the Rebels timeline as well. So we can kind of possibly maybe get to see that as well, which would be neat.
That would be neat to see how he actually steals K2SO.
Yeah, defects.
Or if I don't know if he steals them, but yeah, it'd be nice to see that how that pair came together.
I think the only reason, not the only reason, but I think a big reason to bring Cassian into Rebels is so you can bring K2. K2 is maybe the most popular character out of that movie, Rogue One.
It's funny. He may be. When you ask people whose death resonates the most with them, I don't want to say the majority, but
Many.
more people have said K2. And I voted K2 in a recent poll. I can't remember who ran it. But K2's death for me was the most difficult to watch.
So there you go.
But they would have to get Alan Tudyk back, right?
I'm kind of wondering what's going on there. Do you think Diego Luna would take this on, seeing as how Forrest Whitaker did?
I would be surprised if he wouldn't. I'd be surprised if they didn't offer it to him. Maybe his schedule is such that he can't do it. But I'd be surprised if it wasn't offered to him.
Oh, for sure, I think it would be offered.
Yeah, anytime they can get the original voice actor back, I think that only benefits the final product. Any other Rogue One characters you think ought to make the jump? Now, I'm gonna just say no. I don't think we need to see any of. I don't think Bodhi should be safely locked up as an Imperial. Baze and Chirrut. I don't know if. Is it shoehorning if you bring them into Rebels?
For maybe an episode if they, I don't know.
Well, you said, I think you pointed this out, Kyle. You had written something on Twitter about, I think it was Gold Leader? You see him in the background in one of the shots, no?
Well, I don't know. I don't know that that's him. I'm just guessing. The eyebrows looked stunningly identical.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great guess, and I think that is him. So that's a tie-in right there.
What does that have to do with Baze and Chirrut?
No, well, you said which Rogue One character, and he was in Rogue One, no?
Yeah, but right now I'm wondering, do you think Baze and Chirrut belong in Rebels? Or is that just too much fan service, too much shoehorning where you don't need to do it?
Yeah, I can't see the Rebels making their way to Jedha. Or maybe they do, who knows? Ezra and Kanan might need to make their way over there, but you definitely wouldn't be getting Donnie Yen or can't remember his name now, but I don't think you're getting their voice actors.
Wen Jiang. Maybe not. I feel like it might be a bridge too far to get those guys involved. Not that I'd be upset if they did it. I'm sure they'd be fine additions to the show. I don't know. I can't see that they fit so well.
Yeah.
Jin is out for sure. Galen, I can't see them bringing him in. Same with Krennic. One guy I guess I could see is Draven, who is the kind of the rebel captain, or the rebel, is he a commander, I think?
Yeah. Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah, he was a really cool character. I could see him being on Rebels.
I mean, it'd be a nice little Easter egg too if we could see Bodhi maybe as a cargo pilot for the Imperials.
Maybe. Like real cameo.
Yeah, like just Easter egg background.
I could live with that, I suppose. But then I feel like that would be making the galaxy too small. Like, what are the chances?
Yeah, true, I guess.
Anyway, so Cassian on Rebels. I'm going to be boring, and I'm going to say that's Nashla. James?
Yeah, I like it. Ashley again. I'd like it even more if we could get his parka.
Seriously.
I haven't checked eBay at all to see if it's being sold there. But again, I think I need to stress that this was just sort of conjecture. I don't think there's any validity to this report. It's just someone theorizing that they pulled fulcrum from the visual dictionary and just applied it to Rebels, saying, "Well, we've seen 2 fulcrums. Why not a third?" So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves with that one. And let's move on. Before we talk about the return of Rebels with the Ghost of Geonosis, we'll talk about the mid-season trailer that kind of came out of the blue this week. I don't know if anybody was truly expecting this, and I know how it hit me. I saw a thumbnail of Obi-Wan in that now classic pose of his with the lightsaber pointed and his hands up over his head, or his right hand, I think, up over his head. And I thought to myself, there's got to be something going on. The link for a trailer has got to have come out. Something's got to have happened. And sure enough, it took me about 3 seconds to actually dig up a link to the new trailer. And I think I threw the image your guys' way and dropped the link in our Facebook feed. And so let's talk about this trailer. It was super exciting. They've become masters of putting trailers together that just get us frothing at the mouth. So James, what were your overall thoughts about this? Keeping in mind that everybody out there, James is still midway. He's in limbo of season 2, so a lot of this stuff is going to be completely new to James. But let's get James' thought anyway.
So yeah, I'm a bit behind, and when I saw the thumbnail, like you, I got really excited because, well, I love Obi-Wan like everybody else. And I hesitated for maybe a second and thought, I'll just do it. Because honestly, I haven't been able to keep spoiler free. I'm not unspoiled. I know a lot of what's going on with Maul and some of the other storylines as well, just because it's inevitable on Twitter and sort of in our little bubble that we play in. I see that stuff. So I clicked on it, and I think I watched it 3 times. But after the first time, I had shivers and goosebumps and standing up, arm hairs. It was that good of a trailer.
Yeah, they always do this, man. They always make trailers that make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And then they throw in a bunch of episodes that you're just like, ugh. And I don't want to use the F word. It sounds like it rhymes with Miller. I don't want to use that word because I think it's a little bit insulting, but you get a lot of episodes that don't always contribute in the way you hope. And Corey, what were your thoughts on this trailer? I'm going to assume that you just lost your mind.
Yeah, same deal as you guys. Like, I'm gonna echo that. I was blown away, and like you said it perfectly, Kyle. Like, the past 2 or 3 trailers that we've seen for this series have just been spectacular. Like, but there's a lot of things gonna be happening in this season, and there's not all that many episodes left, so there might be some Miller episodes, but who knows? It just looks amazing. There were so many little tidbits within it if you really pick it apart, which a lot of people did, which is awesome.
Well, come on, like right off the bat, Ezra in his pajamas. How cool was that? I thought that was amazing, and nobody seemed to really care. I Instagrammed it, I tweeted it. It was met with a shrug. Come on, how often do we see Star Wars pajamas?
That's true.
I feel like Snoke is always in his pajamas.
Or I guess any Jedi is kind of always in pajamas. But these were like your classic bought at Sears pajamas with the collar and everything. Well, I thought that when I Instagrammed it, I said that our first look at Star Wars pajamas, and somebody burst my bubble and said, no, Dooku was wearing them in the Clone Wars. And I have yet, he didn't reference exactly what episode, but it's coming to me now. And I do seem to remember Dooku in some sort of meditative state. Maybe he was asleep, but yeah, I think it's true.
Dooku meditative was wearing nightwear.
Yeah. Dooku's evening wear. So anyway, invalid. But still, it's a rarity to see someone in Star Wars wearing pajamas. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I love how the beginning of it, I think the way the beginning of the trailer comes in with the Obi-Wan saying warning, warning, you know?
Yeah, what's up with that? Like, why is the holocron on if nobody
if nobody's left there? I think I have a theory about that. I think once it looks like Kanan's discovered like a new level to this holocron, you know? Like, obviously he hasn't gotten all the information out of it. So maybe he's discovered something new within it and knows that he has to go to Tatooine by himself, and maybe he'll take off, and then Ezra kind of gets the rest of the message and follows him there.
Well, has Kanan bothered with the holocron at all?
It's other his
than
holocron.
To keep it. Oh, I know it is, but hasn't Ezra more or less co-opted it and made it assimilated it for himself?
Yeah. But when you see in that trailer, like, it looks like Ezra's stumbling. He's calling for Kanan, like, Kanan, where are you? You know, are you here? And the holocron's been open. The other theory is that, you know, it's Maul that's been there. But Maul's already had his hands on that holocron, and I don't think he'll need it again. At this point, I think he knows where he needs to be.
Oh, yeah, no, he knows. We saw that in Visions and Voices, right? He knows he's got to go to Tatooine. It ends where it began.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And yeah, there's that repetitive message from Obi-Wan that we heard way back from, what was that? The first episode of Rebels, I believe, where we saw that recording that he left in Revenge of the Sith, and telling Jedi to stay away from the Jedi Temple.
Quick aside here, that voice was James Arnold Taylor, but the new Obi-Wan, do you know who it is?
Yeah, it's Steven Stanton.
This guy is cleaning house, man. I love the guy. Like, he did Admiral Raddus. He does Tarkin on Rebels. But wow, like,
yeah, he's a prolific voice actor.
Big time.
Yeah, he's fantastic, and he sounds spot on as Alec Guinness.
He really did. Like, I was very, very, very impressed. I know someone had asked James Arnold Taylor on Twitter, like, hey, you know, like what's going on? And he basically said, I wasn't even given the opportunity. Which is kind of a little weird in my books, but hey, man, I don't know what to say about it. I'm happy for Steven Stanton. It's too bad for James Arnold Taylor. Like, he was great as Obi-Wan as well. I just did find that a little weird.
Well, yes, I mean, it's too bad. It seems like James Arnold Taylor is done as Obi-Wan, and maybe he's upset about that. But he's another prolific voice actor. He's going to have plenty of opportunities to do things. I'm not going to shed too much of a tear And we have 6 seasons of Clone Wars if you want to hear him as Obi-Wan, in which he did phenomenal work. But I guess it makes sense, right? You're right there on the cusp of A New Hope. So how can you not try and get as close as you can to Alec Guinness? It makes sense with the Clone Wars to try and get as close as you can to Ewan McGregor. And it just makes sense to me that you would go as closely to Alec Guinness's likeness and the sound of his voice as you can do. And Steven Stanton, I think, ticks that box better than anybody.
Yeah, just not to have been given the opportunity, you know what I mean? Like, they could have, given him audition saying, hey, we're doing this. You might not necessarily get it because this is what we're going for, but hey, have at it. See what you can do, And who knows, maybe he's been practicing that,
I don't think that's how Hollywood works, though. I think if they had Stanton in the office and they signed him to a contract and he's like, okay, you're going to do Obi-Wan and this guy, you're not going to bring in the other guy just to make him feel good. You know what I mean? His decision's done. That's it.
No, I see it. I kind of see it in that regard as well. Him being pretty prominent, prolific, like Kyle said, just being like, okay, I've done this voice, it's like a package deal almost.
Well, and this I think applies to our favorite sports teams, no matter what sport you follow. We all kind of wish that from ownership all the way down to the guys that sweep the floors in the locker room, we all kind of wish that everybody would hold hands at the start of each business day and sing Kumbaya, but they don't. I mean, the people who need to make decisions, they go ahead and they make decisions, and that's it. It's I hate to say it's business, but it is, and. They had reasons for going with Steven Stanton, and James Arnold Taylor had his run, and who knows, maybe he will get to do something again as Obi-Wan, but for now they had to make probably what I presume was a difficult choice, and live with it. And right now it seems like the only person who's potentially upset with it is maybe James Arnold Taylor, which I totally understand, but upward and onwards. He's going to find work. I'm sure he's working, perhaps as we speak. But anyway, let's get away from that. The next thing we see in the trailer is Thrawn's fleet descending on Atollon, which is where the rebels are currently holed up. Their crappy little base, and I wonder if
crappy little base.
It's a crappy little base.
Chopper base, man.
It stinks. It's awful. It's a terrible base.
It's where they found Bendu.
Well, no, isn't that convenient? I'm just about to get there. So later on in the trailer, you hear Thrawn say that they've revealed their meager defenses, and this is the moment I've been waiting for. So is that him saying that he now knows they're on Atollon and that they're vulnerable to attack? And then at the beginning of the trailer, you see the fleet kind of heading towards that planet, and you know it's coming. So I wonder if this is them being flushed out of that base, and perhaps if Yavin 4 is on deck.
I could see that coming.
I mean, things eventually have to end or get to Yavin 4. I don't know if we're at that point in the timeline yet. But there's another shot later in the trailer, and Hera's standing there with a pilot, and you just see just green laser bolts just raining down. And if the Empire and Thrawn, I guess his fleet, is going to try and shoot the hell out of that base, Bendu seems to live 200 meters that way. What happens to him?
Well, I think he's kind of like magic in a way. Didn't in the last episode they were talking to him, and then they turn around, they're like, Bendu, like, help us, and he was like just gone. His entire mountain of himself was just gone.
Wait, are you saying that Bendu is Shea Weber? The Man Mountain? No wonder he moves so slowly. I'm just kidding. Jeez.
Nah, you only made Carlos mad.
Everybody likes Shea Weber. Let's all settle down. You're right though, Corey. Bendu just sort of, he had vanished. So maybe that's right. Maybe he just would be like, "Whoop, nah, I'm out of here," and he would yeah, just kind of teleport to some other part of the planet where it's a little more peaceful. Something else interesting. Chime in here, guys. If anything caught your eye in the trailer, like I didn't write down scene by scene here, so if something caught your eye that you want to talk about that you thought was cool or questionable.
Well, we talked about this on the show, how we wondered if Thrawn was purely an intellectual or if ever he was going to like throw fists, and we got that answer too.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like
Thrawn gets physical.
Looks like he could work at the Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. Yeah, no, it looks. We see him battling or sparring with those. I forget what those droids. Those are sentry droids, right? From an episode not too long ago, and he's beating the tar out of them.
Yeah, I think he throws a roundhouse kick at one point, doesn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. And he seems to be pretty astute with a blaster too. Now, my only problem with that is that Thrawn should be so smart that he should never even be in a position where he has to use a blaster. Nobody should be able to get close enough unless he chooses to have them close enough. That was my only problem.
Nah, he's not omniscient. He doesn't know everything. You can be really smart and still get surprised. And if you're really smart, you're good at you're prepared for a surprise, like being good at shooting and fighting.
He's more a guy that's just not going to be taken off guard in any scenario in his mind, you know?
Well, I think maybe he is taken off guard, but he's prepared for that.
Yeah, that's how you got to look at it.
All right.
If he wasn't so smart, then he wouldn't know how to shoot and fight.
I'm sold.
We got you. Converted.
Well,
it's dangerous. It's dangerous to plant your flag too deep in the soil because you gotta be able to move a little bit on these issues. You gotta be a little bit malleable. I think
Agreed.
It's important. Life is always good in the middle.
Bendu.
I like that we can kind of see the fleet or the rebellion really starting to coalesce now. Like, I think we see General Dodonna, Mon Mothma, Bail Organa. You kind of start seeing more Mon Calamari ships, the frigates, the hammerheads. They're all starting to fly together now. The fleet's starting to get a little bigger.
Yeah, you definitely see the leadership of the rebellion starting to pull itself together, and yeah, all the assets at their disposal. Things certainly look to be. I don't want to say coming to a head in the series because it looks as though we're at least headed for a fourth season. But yeah, the rebellion seems to be gathering steam pretty quickly, and it looks like we're going to get some pretty nice space battles. One of my favorite parts of the Clone Wars series was the epicness of the space battles, and we haven't had many like full scale ones yet in Rebels. We've had some small skirmishes, but nothing huge yet. And maybe we're going to get that. It seems like we're heading towards the Battle of Scarif at one point in Rebels, which I think would be sort of a climax for the series, if anything. But it's nice to see the fleet actually pulling itself together.
Yeah, I agree.
So sticking with Thrawn, he now knows the codename Fulcrum. Somehow he's been able to pull out that detail from whatever investigations he's been running. And so he's one step closer to, I guess, Kallus. Is he putting two and two together here? Or does Kallus still have a little bit of time to extract himself safely from this situation?
I think I've said it before, I think he's kind of still waiting for Kallus to give him a few more tidbits of information, but I think he's figured him out, or at least highly, highly suspects him.
He's on a short list.
Yeah, big time.
Hey, how about Death Troopers? We thought that these guys were the sole property of one Orson Krennic, but it seems like Thrawn has a little detachment of Death Troopers at his disposal as well.
I think that's got to be, like Corey says, them keeping their finger on the pulse. Like, as soon as the Death Troopers were on the scene, they were instantly popular and their action figures sold. So, like, I think that's them reacting.
Yeah, and when you keep them, if you're going to keep them in such small, tight groups like that, it's easy to explain why they're not around in the original trilogy. Like, maybe they're just so elite that they only accompany certain people around. So Krennic's got all wiped out on, well, actually, Baze smoked all 6 of them, I think, or 4 of them. And so it's easy to write them off. And at some point, I imagine the small number that accompany Thrawn will probably get whacked as well. So it's easy if you keep them in small packs with disposable bad guys. And I don't want to say Thrawn is disposable, but at some point he's going to go. His Death Troopers will probably go with him.
That makes sense.
Which I'm okay with. I think the Death Troopers are super cool. And as long as they're handled, I will be okay with their existence in the Star Wars galaxy. I won't complain too much, I promise.
A little hard to understand, but
yeah, you can never make out a word they're saying. So we finally got a glimpse of Sabine's mom. So Sabine has been a character who's quickly rising to the top of the heap here in season 3, and we knew her mom was going to make an appearance, and there was no shortage of people saying, "Oh, it must be Bo-Katan," because she was the only female Mandalorian that we could name. But our friend Boxerless Bosk Wesley had a great blog, which I've mentioned here before, that it's more likely that the mom would be Rook Kast, who showed up in the Sons of Dathomir graphic novel from Dark Horse Comics. Now, I don't know if this character that we saw is Rook Kast, but it doesn't look like the character from the graphic novel. In fact, that woman that we saw, we assume is Sabine's mom, but it may not be. It could just be another. It could be like the equivalent of a secretary answering the door, right?
No, that's true. We don't know necessarily that she's speaking to her mother.
But it's going to be cool. Sabine's going to show up with the Darksaber, and things are going to get interesting.
Dude, Sabine's going to be in this in a big, big way. Like, the whole trailer itself was kind of Sabine-centric almost.
Yeah, like I said, she's moving to the center of this story. It's still always kind of going to be Ezra's story for as long as he's alive, but Sabine is kind of moving in on his territory a little bit, which I think is cool because for the first season, I liked Sabine, but I was like, what does she do? What is her point? But she, as we go along here, almost on an episode by episode basis, she gets a little bit more interesting and dangerous.
Yeah, she's definitely talented and dangerous.
Yeah, and we'll talk about her effectiveness in the Ghost of Geonosis coming up here. But how did you feel about the weapons that we saw? The laser lasso, James, and that hard light shield. Are you down with those kind of weapons in Star Wars?
Like the Death Troopers, you got to be careful because we saw a lot of different stuff in 3, 4, 5, 6 movies so far. So introducing laser lassos makes me think, why wouldn't more people be using that stuff? I don't like the way it looks really either. I'm not a huge fan. Yeah, I'm like, what? No, come on. Like, so she can't use the Force. So if she wants to pull her lightsaber to her, that's the answer for that? I don't know. That's kind of lazy to me. But I found the hard light shield even more offensive. Like that's Captain America's thing in the Avengers series. Like, you don't need that. Yeah, I was not.
I kind of
not a big fan.
I like the fact that she's growing with more power. Like, from what it seems like too, it seems like she's going to be the one to unite her people, right? Bringing back the lightsaber, the dark saber. And I think that's kind of what that saber kind of represents to the Mandalorians. And I don't think things like these laser lassos or whips are readily available to the public. I think they're designed for people of prominence, like she's destined to be. So coming into the possession of these things, like, kind of makes sense. Like, even the jetpack that she has, like, they're kind of a rare and precious commodity. Like, even she was super stoked when she got it. Like, people are jealous that she has it.
I get it. I get it. I just whatever. I don't want to get too nitpicky on the types of weapons, but you know, I feel like in Star Wars it's sort of I know it's sort of outlandish that a galaxy far, far away seems grounded to us, but that I think those two specific types of weapons, I think they belong in comic books to me. Like I wasn't thrilled to see those, and maybe once we see them in action, maybe I'll change my mind. But my initial knee-jerk reaction was it was just like an eye roll.
Well, I think
same.
From what we've seen in the trailer too, it doesn't necessarily go chronologically, but she gets there with the Darksaber, and it's obviously a symbol for her people of who's basically the boss, I would think. And it looks like she loses at one point, because at one point Gar Saxon has it, and she's in possession of Ezra's lightsaber. I don't know if you guys caught that in the trailer.
Yeah, no, she's running around with a green lightsaber. You're right.
But Gar Saxon has the Darksaber in his hand. So
yeah, it seems like he tries to turncoat again and take the Darksaber while he's got maybe Sabine lets her guard down and he tries to snatch it back and take command of whatever remnants are left of the Mandalorians. Other cool things. We saw the Imperial Super Commandos again. Those white troops that we saw in that episode where Sabine gets the jetpack. Cool to see those guys again. The TIE Defenders that we saw, that was the super top secret project that many people thought would be a type of reference to the Death Star. But it's these heavily armed TIE fighters with shields. Anyway, on that note, I think those ships are going to kind of tear apart the rebellion's, fighter ships. And I think that the rebellion's response to the TIE Defender will be the X-Wing in season 4.
That'd be cool. Because we got to see the X-Wing. Come on.
Yeah, I think we will. I think Filoni has all but confirmed that we will. They're just waiting for the right moment. And I think when the rebellion is going, we can't stop these TIE Defenders. They're tearing us to pieces. We need a new ship, and in comes the X-Wing. I think that's the door opening for that. And the big tamale in this trailer, of course, right at the very end, is our old friend, old Ben, stoking his little fire when a very vengeful Maul sort of sidles up behind him, and we see Obi-Wan ignite his lightsaber and end scene. But that's what we're all waiting for, right?
That's definitely going to be the big climax. The thing is, it's sort of like watching like the Titanic, though, right? Like it sinks. Like Obi-Wan comes out of that fight.
Well, yeah, you're right. We know Obi-Wan survives that fight. We assume it's the end of Maul. And the other wild cards is Ezra and Kanan. Will they factor into that battle at all? And I've had a long theory that I published a couple months ago that I still, until proven otherwise, I'm going to adhere to, that I think, what was the name of the first episode of season 3? Holocrons of Fate. Mm-hmm. Where Maul and Ezra, they have that shared vision of twin sons, right? And Maul takes off, headed because he's in a stupor. He's realized that Kenobi is still alive, but Ezra isn't quite sure what's going on. And we know that Maul was looking for hope.
Yeah.
Whereas Ezra was looking for the key to destroying the Sith. So my take on this whole thing is that Maul knows that Obi-Wan is hiding something, or hiding somebody, which we all know. and that he's going to tell Ezra, see that old guy right there? He has the key to destroying the Sith, and he won't give it to you. He's the bad guy. Get him. Or something to that effect. That will be the leverage that he uses to ensnare Ezra and tip him closer to the dark side. I think it's a bit of a red herring that so far this season, Ezra has kind of turned away from the dark side and has been goody two-shoes. I think we're being lulled into a sense of comfort here with Ezra.
Yeah, it's possible. I like that take. Well, not necessarily the dark side take on Ezra part, but the fact that Maul saying, "Hey, that rat taggedy guy over there, like he's got your answer,"
and he won't give it to you. Like there's no way Obi-Wan's going to give up Luke, right? There's no way.
But I think once Ezra finds out that it is Obi-Wan, like obviously he's gonna be like, "Oh, you're Obi-Wan. Okay, hang on."
Well, he might find out, and he say, "Obi-Wan, you have the key to destroying the Sith. Give it to us." And Obi-Wan's going to go, "No." And then that might just send Ezra right around the bend.
That's possible. I think a pertinent question also to ask, which we have on the show, is will Luke be mentioned or seen in this series now?
No. He will not be mentioned by name, but I think in the conversation we just had, I think he'll be alluded to. That Obi-Wan has the key. He's referring to Luke, but we're not going to hear him spoken by name, and we're definitely not going to see him. That's my take. I know that others disagree.
I think that's totally possible. I wouldn't bet against it.
Yeah, I'm on the fence on that one too. I could totally see it happening. But if it doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Okay. I mean, big Ashlas all around for that trailer.
Oh, big time. There's very little to even complain about at all.
Well, no, certainly not. But here's something that you might complain about. So Rebels just got back to business last night. We'll touch on that in a few minutes. But we've got next week with a new episode called Warhead. And then 2 weeks from now, we have on January 21st, we have a new episode. And then Rebels goes back on a month-long break. That's a drag.
Yeah.
That might give me the time I need to catch up.
There's your window, James. All right, so James, we're going to talk about the Ghost of Geonosis. We've spoiled a little bit of that in this conversation, but I know you're generally trying to save the surprises for when you actually catch up for real. So we'll give you your leave for the next. We'll try and keep it brief, but we'll send up the smoke flare when we're ready to have you back.
Sounds good. Have fun, boys.
All right, Corey. Let's keep this tight here. We got the Ghost of Geonosis. A long-awaited return after the Rogue One honeymoon. We're back in the saddle with Rebels, and so the team, the Ghost crew, have a mission to go rescue Saw Gerrera, who we just met in Rogue One after a long while since we saw him in the Clone Wars. Gather some intel from Geonosis and investigate a strange energy source. So overall, quickly, what did you think of this episode?
I thought it was good. It didn't blow my mind or anything. I was kind of expecting a little more for the mid-season return with, having Forrest Whitaker and Saw on board. But don't get me wrong, like I wasn't disappointed. It was definitely a really good 2-part episode. I just thought there could have been a little more there. We definitely got to see Saw's character in a different light. He's quite the extremist, different from the Rebels that we know.
Well, yeah, and they've been kind of alluding to that for a long time now. That Saw Gerrera is a bit of a fanatic. He's a bit of an extremist, and they showed us that last night on Rebels, sort of as much as they possibly could have. Considering this is Disney XD, they can't get too insane. But you definitely saw hints that this guy is not cut from the same cloth from the Ghost Crew. The Ghost Crew is very much a
by the book kind of morality
by the
wise.
book. Yeah, they've kind of got their moral compass pointed in the right direction almost at all times. Saw Gerrera doesn't. For him, the end justify the means, and we saw that a bit last night. So let's circle back to the beginning. Right away, I kind of laughed out loud. Sabine slapping Ezra upside the head. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. The relationship's so like that,
That was actually the first of 2 slaps upside the head in that episode last night, which I laughed at the second one too. I don't know why, but I like it when people get slapped upside the head. Bail Organa standing shoulder to shoulder with Commander Sato. That was a nice connection to Rogue One, our first connection to Rogue One in the episode, I believe.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it was nice to see him. The more I hear his voice in animated form, the less I like it. I think the accent is a bit too pronounced compared to Jimmy Smits.
Yeah.
But it was a small thing.
Well, I think the one thing I just want to get off my chest before I forget is this can kind of tie into something a little later on we may talk about, but just in the commercial, I really, really, really got the sense that we we're going to find out something about the Death Star in this episode. And they really kind of alluded to that as well. It's a circle within a circle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's one of the main things of this entire 2-part return.
And who knows? Maybe that's what the click-clack, the Geonosian was alluding to. But seeing as how they don't have like a universal translator or something, they don't know. We're kind of led to believe by the end of the episode it's about an insecticide for a genocide that took place on Geonosis. But who knows? Maybe he was trying to explain to them, no, this is the Death Star.
Oh, I think he was absolutely trying to tell them, this is the Death Star. You fools. This is what we were building. And they whiffed twice on it, right?
Yeah.
They thought, oh no, it's first time they misinterpreted his drawing as the egg, because there was you could see sort of the pupa inside the casing of the egg. So they thought the circle within a circle. Oh, he just drew the egg, and that was the first swing and miss. And then the second was the insecticide, right? When they get to the bottom of that air shaft, there was the big huge canister of insecticide, and with the Imperial insignia. And then, again, they were convinced, oh, there's the circle within a circle. And you idiots, that's not what he's talking about.
No, I agree. That was kind of rough.
Yeah. Hey, do you have a problem with the fact that Kanan sees more now that he's blind than when he had eyes?
In some instances, yeah, because he does things as if he was. Some things that he does in his mannerisms, it's as if he's still looking at you or needing to look in a certain direction to accomplish something, whereas he really doesn't need to.
Yeah, it's like he's not handicapped at all by this, and I suppose that's a story angle that they're trying to get at. That he's that much more in tune with the Force because of his lack of sight now. He's had to compensate. It just seems weird that you take the guy's eyes out, yet now he's better than ever. In one regard, I like it. In the other regard, I'm going, really? I don't know. I'm Bendu on that one.
I like it, but I wish they could have explained it more. Like, obviously that's what I had hoped they were going to do, and they kind of did do that. They broke him down to build him up. But yeah, I would have liked to seen a little more of his. It just happened so instantaneously. Like, Bendy was like, yeah, okay, now you can see. You see yourself, so you're a Jedi again. And he was like, you're right.
Well, like, for example, when they're trying to get across because they spotted that one Geonosian bug, and he tosses Ezra across, and then Chopper flies after him, which I wonder, why didn't Ezra just ride Chopper like he's done so many times before?
Or just jump himself.
Maybe Ezra can't make that jump. I can buy that, but Chopper, mind if I grab a seat on your head? And they would just fly across. That seems to be much easier. But then Saw questions him. You can't throw me that far. And yeah, I've got a better idea. And then you see them, like, how does Kanan know that bridge is up there?
Yeah,
is he
weird.
Daredevil now? And he can sense everything around him like Daredevil can?
Yeah, like the Matrix.
Yeah, anyway.
And that's a pretty... I was quite impressed with Kanan's abilities there to be able to manipulate such a large object.
Oh, yeah, it was a great scene. Here I am complaining about him being able to see that bridge. But yeah, Kevin Kiner's score in the background with the Force theme as he holds that bridge in place. That was Kanan's got some serious game now.
Yeah, big time. Because that's hard. Even Yoda lifting an X-Wing out of the swamp was like, oh my god, you know?
Yeah, this is, you could argue that this is on that level. We had a little callback to Steela via little pocket holocron. What do they call those things?
I'm not sure.
It's sort of the Star Wars equivalent of a wallet photo, right?
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Well, yeah, they had to explain for people that hadn't seen the Clone Wars to explain what Saw is lost. They kind of had to work in Steela a little bit there. I'll admit that tugged at the heartstrings a little bit there.
Yeah, that's the only thing that kept them real.
Yeah, and well, I guess it explains a little bit why he's such a fanatic.
Yeah.
So Captain Brunson, I know you haven't read Lost Stars yet, but when she came onto the screen, for myself, like a lot of other fans, wondering, is that Ciena Ree from Lost Stars? She looks the age. She's a captain like Ciena Ree was. Or if it's not her, is it Ray Sloan, who you'll get to eventually when you read Aftermath? But it turns out it's neither of those. So we got, as a fandom, we got rickrolled. So her name is Captain Brunson, and it's great to have another new character, especially another new character of color.
Yeah, even at that, I think she's up for a demotion.
Oh, she's in trouble. She got a little too greedy there and bit off more than she can chew. She messed with the wrong team.
Yeah, they don't call them the Ghost for no reason.
Yeah, no, she got a little bit too close to the alligator's mouth, and she got bit. So what else we got here? Well, you know what? I on Captain Brunson, I can imagine all those guys in the writers' room going, they knew exactly what fandom was going to do in that moment when that character took the screen, saying that's Ciena Ree, that's Ray Sloan. They knew that we would do that, and they go, nope, it's somebody else. And
I saw a lot of stuff on Twitter going back and forth on that.
And you know that those guys were all sitting at home on Saturday night, flipping through their Twitter feed and laughing their asses off. You know it. And rightfully so. I would do the same exact thing. It's rare in life that you get to rickroll an entire fandom as big as Star Wars. And there was another trolling for prequel haters. I hate sand. It gets everywhere. Sabine had a very similar line. I thought that was a nice little FU to prequel haters. I'm racing here. Corey, slow me down if you need to.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I really, honestly, I don't have that much to say about this episode. Like, I thought it was quite a generic episode. It was cool that we got to see some new characters and stuff and some character development. But all in all, the main storyline was kind of just trying to bust the Empire, right? With some kind of genocide, but...
Yeah, well, we saw in an earlier episode in season 2, I think, where they showed up at Geonosis, and there's all those kind of mini stations that were used to build the Death Star in its initial stages, but they moved it. And watch Rebels Recon for this episode. It's kind of shed some light on that. It's always a worthy watch. I thought there was a nice parallel here between this episode and an old Clone Wars episode. And it was Ezra, and the way that Ezra and Kanan stuck up for Click-Clack and the egg as being, potentially the last of the Geonosians. And remember the arc with the Zillo Beast and the way that Mace Windu stuck up for that animal, as it's the last of its species, and how the Jedi were just like, you can't kill this thing. We've got to protect this animal. I know it's kind of tearing us to bits here, but it's the last of its kind. It deserves to live. And so I thought that was a nice little, whether it was intentional or not, it was nice to see Kanan and Ezra sort of adhering to those Jedi ideals.
And if not for them, of course, if not for them, Saw he had no two ways about killing that egg and killing that Geonosian and the whole species being wiped out. He was just kind of just like, the mission's first, and that's that. It's simple like that.
Yeah, it's very cut and dry for Saw. So Geonosis has become really important now, right? You ran a poll sometime in the last couple months, about what's the most important planet in Star Wars at this point. And I can't remember what planets you had. I know you had Tatooine, you had Coruscant. I don't remember. I think you may have did you put Jeddah on that list?
It could have been Jeddah and who else? Jakku or Ilum.
Whatever it was, but I don't think Geonosis was part of that list. And I'm wondering now if it really should be part of that list, because we've had the start of the Clone Wars were there in Attack of the Clones. That was the first Battle of Geonosis. We had the second Battle of Geonosis. I think one of the early issues of the Darth Vader comic went there. We've been to Geonosis twice now on Rebels, 3 times if you count the honorable ones, where they on the moon of Geonosis. It's in Catalyst, which I know you read recently. This has got to be a top, 3 or 4 planet in all of Star Wars right now.
No, for sure. I think it's story said and done, seeing as how it's happened there. I know there possibly could be that rebirth, but yeah, it's definitely one of the main planets where it's a hub of activity for the Empire. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So I wonder if people listening, where would you slot Geonosis now in the list of important planets in Star Wars lore? It's got to be near the top now.
Well, it's definitely a top 5er, I would think.
Yeah, it's got to be. It absolutely has to be. A couple of questions here, Corey, that I have about this episode. Actually, one question, one observation. So, considering what the Empire did on Geonosis, why would they send one cruiser with a relatively junior captain to investigate? What triggered the Empire to go to Geonosis to check on what was going out there? Why were they there? And why did they send such a small little detachment to investigate? If they suspected that the rebellion was there investigating, their super secret Death Star project, do you think they would just want to show up with the hammer and just stamp that out?
No, I think they were, from what I gather from the episode, is that they were kind of just on a regular patrol and kind of just happened by the planet and does everything check out? Well, in fact, there are kind of life signs down there. They don't know they're there. They kind of say oh, we're scanning for life. Oh, there's life. And then she's just oh, there's probably a bunch of scavengers. So send a quick little patrol to scout it,
All right. I mean, did she say that?
Yeah.
I watched the episode twice. I missed that.
Well, yeah, they basically say there's life on the surface. And then she's okay, send some troops to check on it.
All right, I can buy that then. Regular routine patrol. Done. And finally, here's what if I have a critique about the episode, here's what I would say. I would have preferred that Zeb and Ezra switch in this episode. Just to keep Ezra and Sabine together and keep growing that storyline. And also to have Zeb, as he's not the last of his kind, but for a while that was part of his narrative. And to have Zeb down underground as quote unquote the last of his kind. I think he would have been a more effective ally for Click Clack as the last of his kind.
Yeah, and like Zeb and Rex have quite a good relationship. They have that military kind of relationship, and I'm sure that Saul would have respected Zeb as well, and vice versa.
Yeah, like Zeb, if Zeb's decided to step in on Saw is, I mean, Zeb is a big enough mountain to deter Saw, I would think.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. And I'd like to see a little more Zeb in this season still, too. He really has not done much at all.
No, he really hasn't. And I think he will starting next episode. I think the Warhead episode is going to be very Zeb-centric. Hopefully, anyway. I'd like to see a little more Zeb action. But I think before we wrap up with the Ghost of Geonosis, we'd be remiss if we didn't give a little bit of credit to Sabine for doing the job of 2 Jedi, 2 soldiers, and a tail gunner.
Yeah, they had the high ground.
Well, I mean, the rocket troopers had the high ground, and Kanan, Ezra, Saw, Zeb, all out on the roof of the Ghost, trying to get rid of them, and valiant effort. But I guess we need to get the job done. You send 1 Sabine in the place of 2 Jedi and two super soldiers.
Yeah. Like, she had the rocket pack, like you said. It's a matter of positioning and.
Well, she smoked them. I mean, she just hopped out of the Ghost, took off the ramp, and just went out there and smoked them.
Yeah, like even Ezra says, like as soon as she comes flying out, she's like, oh, they're in trouble.
Yeah, like that was a great sequence. My only complaint about that sequence is that I wish it was a bit longer. But she handled those guys, like she smoked them. Anyway, that's it for our quick little chat about this week's episode of Rebels. I was pretty pleased with this episode. I know you thought it was pretty generic, but I think it was okay.
Yeah, it was good.
I think it was better than okay.
It's always good. It's always good, and better than okay and good. I just kind of probably was expecting a little more with the gravitas of Forrest Whitaker being on board.
No, I hear you. Okay, that's it for now. We are going to hear from our good friend Ads. He's got a couple questions for us this week, and there are a couple of good ones, a little off the beaten path, but we'll tackle that now.
Mr. Carl, Mr. Corey, Mr. James, happy 2017. You'll get why that was funny. Hope everyone had a really good one. And a couple of quickies this week. The first one is, what's on your bucket list? What do you want to achieve before becoming a Force Ghost? And the second one is, what's the best film that you've never watched? Have a good one, chaps. Look forward to listening. Take care. Laters.
And there goes Ads, getting personal with us this week, asking us about our bucket list items. I guess an appropriate question for the start of the year. So James, I don't know how long your bucket list is, but let's pick off a couple things here. Let's go round table style. Give us the top item on your bucket list.
Oh, I don't have them ranked necessarily, but I just sort of have them in a random order. And the first one I'll list off is a trip to Ireland, specifically Trinity College, and I guess basically anywhere along the West Coast, along the cliffs of Moher, or any of the sort of the giant towering green cliffs overlooking the ocean. I gotta get there.
I guess I'd be echoing you a little bit on that one. I have Travel More, which I think is on probably 98% of people's bucket list. Ireland is on the short list of places to see. And I'm not just pandering to our buddy over there, Dave Donovan. I mean, of course, I have ancestry there as well, as do you. And it's definitely a place I want to see, along with the UK. And also, I need to see the rest of the country I live in.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of Canada, but you're right. I could see a whole lot more. It's a pretty big country.
Yeah, Corey?
Yeah, travel's way up there. I think that's the number one on most people's list as well. Like I definitely want to see our country. I think a bucket list thing that I'd love to do, and I kind of thought about it to myself a couple of years ago, but I would love to be able to take a bit of a sabbatical from work. I guess in about 15 years or so. I guess when my son's kind of out of school and has a bit of free time, like I would love to just do all like coast to coast with him, you know? I think that would be really cool. And Kyle and I's grandfather, when he was sick, he asked me to
Drink.
Yeah. For some reason, he just said, you know, you got to go to Holland. Go to Holland for me, you know, like go check it out. There was no real reason. I know he was there during the war, which is obviously a big part of it, but he said that and it always stuck and resonated with me. But there's all kinds of places I want to travel all over the world, like, you know, the 7 seas. But, you know, after having researched that a bit, that's kind of a bit weird and confusing.
Okay, so travel more is at the top of our list, or at least one of the things on our list.
Yeah, no doubt.
We will do this in a snaking manner. Corey, hit us with another one.
I honestly, I'll say it. It may seem kind of lame that this is on like this high up there, but I really want to have a Star Wars Commonwealth meetup at Star Wars Celebration or whatever it is.
That's not lame. I mean, maybe you're pandering to the crowd, but it's certainly not a lame thing.
I think
I wouldn't call it lame at all.
I think it's
awfully nice.
Yeah, I think it'd be awesome. I think it'd be really hard to coordinate as well. Like, it's not going to be easy feat. You could all say it's all fine and dandy now when you're talking about it, but getting down to the nitty gritty of it, and you know, organizing that with your families and your wife, and
it'd be a logistical nightmare on several fronts. Not to mention possibly quite expensive, but for sure a worthy endeavor. And if I'm being honest, I think it's something we'll at least explore, and we'll see how far it gets.
I hope so.
No timetable on that, though.
No.
Okay, I guess that would be me. That's up. I would like to. I guess I don't know if this is cheating on the whole travel more thing, but I want to eventually get to all Major League Baseball parks, or at least the big ones. I want to see. I want to get to Wrigley, Yankee Stadium. I've been to Fenway, but I would certainly like to go back. Philadelphia. So the top goal is to visit them all, but failing that, then most of the big ones or the old ones, Cincinnati, St. Louis. I would love to see baseball in those towns.
You know, I met a guy, Harry Scott from Atlantic City, New Jersey, who saw a Major League Baseball game in every stadium in one season. Wow. Yep, he was in a Visa commercial about it like 10 years ago. Maybe you remember.
I do remember that.
Yep, I met that dude. He was actually, when I met him, he was sitting at a table at we were playing golf in the clubhouse, and he had all these maps out with his buddy. Dude was old. He was like, I don't know, 75 or 80 when we saw him. And they were planning to play 50 rounds of golf in 50 states in 50 days.
Oof.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Alaska and Hawaii included.
Oh. They're going to need a vacation from the vacation once it's done.
Yeah, there was really a detailed little so they sort of had it planned out. Every time you could sort of hit 4 corners of a state in a really short time, they'd go like bang, 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 and hammer out those 4 days easily, and then do a big drive. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's tight. That takes some planning.
Yeah, very cool guys. But anyways, to your bucket list thing, they executed that beautifully with the Major League Baseball stadiums.
Yeah, I follow somebody on Twitter on my other account, a younger guy, and him and his girlfriend last year, or the year before, they attempted and I think succeeded in a similar thing.
Very cool.
Very, very cool project. And I there's something about baseball parks to me that are much nicer than, say, football or soccer or hockey arenas. There's just something much more special to me about visiting a baseball park.
Especially, yes. I visited a couple of soccer stadiums in Europe that are awfully impressive. Barcelona, man, holy moly! But I'll jump on your bandwagon and echo. I would like to see on my bucket list rounds of golf at all four majors.
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's an ambitious one.
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, two of them aren't so hard. You can get to the Masters, believe it or not.
Really, you can get tickets to the Masters?
If you've got money, you can just buy tickets straight up off StubHub. It's a lotto, but you can get tickets. And even in the lotto, apparently, like if you've got 4 or 6 friends and you all put your name in, one of you will get the maximum number of tickets, and you can all go down. Or it's not a guarantee, but apparently it's not that hard to get tickets.
Okay, I thought that would have been the really tough one.
No, and once you get down there, it's cheap at the Masters, from what I understand, compared to other ones. I went to the President's Cup here. We're tangenting, but here in Montreal, that was a complete ripoff. They gouged you for $12 bottles of water.
Oh, everything in Montreal is a ripoff. Everything.
Oh, it's crazy. But at Augusta, they've kept the prices consistent for the last couple decades, and like hot dogs are 50 cents, and everything's reasonable.
I never would have suspected that.
I know, it's great.
That's awesome. All right, well, where are we at here? Let's do one or two more each. Actually, I'll just rattle off a couple more. I would like to learn a third language, which is, I think, a very attainable thing, especially with all the apps and programs out there now. I think it's just simply an investment of time. And lastly, I would love to own a Porsche. I've always been a Porsche guy. I would love to own one.
What 911 or like a Carrera or 944 twin turbo?
Ideally a 911. I'm not going to be so fussy as to say, well, it's got to be a 911 4S turbo convertible. I will settle.
But you just did.
But I would settle for almost anything with the Porsche badge on it, except for a Cayenne. That to me is not a Porsche.
I agree. Sorry to all the Cayenne owners. All right. Well, I'll go out and say then I agree with you about the Porsche thing. I'm not going to repeat it because it's stealing your stuff, but I've always wanted a Porsche too.
Oh, nice. High five.
I like to Yeah, man. I'd like to publish a book. I don't know if that's a bucket list thing because like it's not like a dream. It's not a dream so much as like just a goal.
Well, having a Porsche is a goal. No,
that's more of a dream.
Graphic designers and teachers, it's a dream.
That's a dream for me. No, I know what you mean, Corey. You could that could make that a goal, but publishing a book is more of an actual goal for me.
It's never been easier with publishing on Kindle and stuff like that. It's never been easier.
Oh, for sure. And is there anything else I want to put on the list? Most of my stuff is travel based. I'd like to see, like, I could name a bunch of stuff I want to see on the planet.
Yeah, like you want to go to the Shire and New Zealand and all that stuff. I'm sure, like I do.
Yeah, New Zealand's on the list. Way up on the list. The pyramids. It's a big list. I'd like to do a lot of traveling.
Agreed. There's a big planet, lots to see on it. Okay, so that's that. Corey, do you want to rattle off a couple other bucket list things?
I just thought of one now. I'll eventually produce and edit a podcast. No timetable on that.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
there is a timetable on that.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, I'd like to, like James had said, I would like to publish something or have some kind of like creative work, like comic, or have some kind of hand in writing something that's published.
Very cool. All right, ads, there you go. And everybody else out there, feel free to chime in. At least give us one bucket list item. And ads also asked us the best films that we've never seen. I know we all have probably plenty of entries on this list. So, James, kick us off. Give us a movie here that will blow us away that you've never seen.
I don't think it'll blow you away because I've seen. I don't have like an ET on my list. Like some people have that like that crazy movie that everybody's seen. Well, I think my first one many people have seen, and I mean to see it. I just never get around to it. But Sophie's Choice.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I've never seen that.
Oh, okay, good. Well, maybe it's a bad choice for me then. Corey, you saw it?
No.
Oh,
Never
He
even heard
doesn't
of
even
it.
know what you're talking about.
really?
No.
Oh, see, that's like, I thought of all the movies that I haven't seen. Like that's the top one that like I would most want to see that I haven't seen yet, because I can't really think of any that's the best movie I haven't seen. It might be one of the newest Marvel movies, because I'm way behind DC and Marvel movies.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of modern movies that I've not seen, like big movies that I've not seen. I always pull up the American Film Institute top 100 films of all time list, and I go through that and I go, oh my god, I've number one of all time, Citizen Kane. I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's on
That's
my
a good
list.
movie. You should see it. Oh, you guys, yeah.
I've seen Godfather, Casablanca, Raging Bull, but I've not seen like Singing in the Rain or what else we got here. So I've never seen Psycho.
No, both really good. Singing in the Rain is just, it's super dated, but super kitsch and cheesy and fun. And Psycho still probably holds up.
I mean, there's tons of movies on this list,
Oh yeah,
that
there's
I've-
lots. I looked at the same list.
and I guess one that will probably blow your minds, and you'll call me a blasphemer and this and that, but I've never seen The Princess Bride.
I knew that. We already knew that, and I've. It's shameful because it's really a modern classic. It's got everything that you would like too.
Including Carrie Elwes, who I have no idea how to pronounce his last name.
No, you got it exactly wrong.
Maybe if I watch the movie, I'd get it right.
No, I don't know how to say it either. But it's really tremendous. You have to see that movie
I eventually
with your
will.
kids. With your kids, yeah.
Oh, of course, I when I say I eventually will, I've been saying that for probably a decade at least. I wonder if I'll see Princess Bride before Corey produces a podcast.
That's a good question. I would hope so. I hope
Maybe
so
we should
for
make
your
that
sake.
interesting. Maybe we should make that interesting.
Interesting
Well,
for who?
I smell a first bet of 2017. I like it.
I'll give you odds, Corey.
We'll see. We'll have to talk. We'll have to discuss further. You have to watch like Westworld and Firefly as well.
Well, I just watched episode 2 of Westworld.
Nice.
And what do you think?
No complaints. Good
Okay,
show.
so far so
Very
And
good.
good show.
it just gets better and better. Every episode's like a rocket, man.
Like a rocket, comma, man? Or like a rocket man?
Rocket man.
Rocket Man. All right. Before we break into song, moving along.
Yeah. I kind of had the same ones as Kyle, kind of. Like, I had Citizen Kane. I haven't seen it. Casablanca, I've never seen. More recent ones, I still haven't made the time, which is kind of disappointing, to see Mad Max, The Fury Road.
I haven't seen that either.
I've seen
heard
it.
such good things.
That happened to me. The expectations got out of hand, and I watched it, and I was like, okay.
And what I don't think is, this is definitely not like on the top 100 or anything, just for fandom and geekdom and whatnot. I've never watched Dune, which is kind of what's got to me. Because I think the rights to that have been purchased recently, so I think that's up for a reboot.
They're remaking it now.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken. I remember I've seen bits and pieces of the original, but I've not. No, you're right. I have not sat through the entire thing. Anyway, lots of embarrassing choices on our list. If you pull up the top 100 AFI films, I've probably not seen 75% of them.
Ooh, I got one that'll hit home to some of the viewers in this kind of podcast. I've never seen Blade Runner.
I've only seen it once, and I wasn't terribly impressed. And it is on the list. Blade Runner.
I bet it is.
I believe it's on the list. Yeah, it's number 97.
It's a pretty good movie.
I would have even guessed higher, but it's got certainly a large
Toy Story is on the list.
fandom. Well, I've seen it.
Wonderful movie.
Yeah, terrific.
Number 99. Anyway, thank you, ads. And I expect,
As always.
I expect to hear some embarrassing movies that ads has not scene. We're laying our choices bare here, embarrassing ourselves to the whole world. We got a question this week, guys, from Neil Donahoe on Twitter.
Hey, Neil.
Howdy, Neil. Yeah, that's actually a very good question, because if he'd asked me 6 months ago, I would have a totally different answer. So he asks, are you worried that any future trailers we may save for forthcoming Star Wars movies will be all throwaway shots? I asked this question in light of Rogue One trailers being devoid of much of what was actually in the movie, and Gareth Edwards' comments around the TIE fighter shot. I assume he means the one where Rey, not Rey, Jesus, Jyn is walking that plank or that gangway.
Yeah,
and the
sure.
TIE fighter rises up in front of her. That's the shot I assume he's getting at. He told the marketing department that it wasn't in the movie, and they put it in the trailer anyway. Thanks, guys. Great show as usual, and may the Force be with you. Thank you, Neil. Corey, you want to go first?
Yeah, why not? I know what he's kind of saying. I don't think it's going to be like that every time, to be honest. We know Rogue One went through massive reshoots, and regardless what they do, they could do what they want. I really don't care, as long as they don't lead us down like some primrose path where, they're leading you in a direction in the sense like, okay, look, Vader's in this movie, and then, oh, wait a minute, Vader's not in this movie? Like, what happened there? Like, which I don't think they'll ever do. Whatever they did with Rogue One, I noticed all the stuff that they had put in the trailer that wasn't in the movie, but it was fine, like, we got a general sense. It didn't change anything for me, and if they can keep it in that tone, then I'm fine with it, but just don't lead us on that much. It's okay to throw a curveball and whatnot, but don't take advantage of it.
James?
I keep agreeing with everybody tonight.
Kumbaya.
Yeah, no, I don't mind if they do throw away shots. If, like Corey said, reshoots will probably affect early trailers sometimes. I mean, that's inevitable when they put trailers out a year before the movie's made. So as long as they don't purposefully mislead people in the trailers, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to agree. If you asked me 6 months ago, I would have had a different answer. I would have said, no, when they put shots in a trailer and it's not in the movie, it drives me crazy. But now after they put so many cool shots in the Rogue One trailer and whet our appetites for this huge visual splendor, I was totally in. And then, of course, a lot of those shots didn't come to fruition in the movie, but we got so much other stuff instead. And like Corey said, I think Corey put it best. Like, just don't mislead us. The trailers are meant to give us a sense of the movie. We don't want the trailer to spoil the plot. We just want we want it to give us a sense of what the movie's about, and that means visually as well, and tonally. And I think the Rogue One trailer did that for sure. And yeah, fine, we didn't get some shots, and I miss seeing them on a giant screen, but I'm okay. And I mentioned this last week on the show. For the Han Solo flick, I hope they do that. I hope we get a bunch of cool shots in the trailer that don't get in the movie. It's just more stuff for us to look at. And like, I'm not going to forget
more stuff,
a cool shot that they give us.
More stuff for us to look at, and more stuff for us to look forward to as well.
Yeah. More stuff to turn into a poster and stick on your wall. So yeah, I don't know, Neil. I'd like your answer. Does it bother you? Does it bother anybody else for that matter? I think the three of us are okay with shots intended specifically for the trailer or cut from the movie that were in the trailer, as long as like Corey said, they don't promise something like Darth Vader and then cut it. All right, boys, I think that is it for episode 57. What do you say?
In the books.
In the books.
In the books.
And you know what?
Happy birthday.
That's right.
That's right. It's your birthday, buddy.
That's right. Special holiday only for me.
Happy 39th birthday. Or are you still telling people you're turning 37?
I haven't even turned 30 yet.
Alrighty then.
I am 36, eh? Yeah, just kind of make sure.
Oh, yeah. So you are going.
man.
You are going with that. Okay.
Yep. I can verify that. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you want to get in touch with us, you can find the Birthday Boy at
Chop Rules with a Z.
And Mr. James, you're at
Tommy Bombadil 1.
Excellent. I'm at Tumbling Saber. Find us also on Facebook and iTunes and Instagram and all those wonderful places. And be sure to check out the Star Wars Commonwealth. Everybody on the network lately has been just knocking it out of the park with Rogue One perspectives and remembering Carrie Fisher and everything else we've been doing. Ash over at Skyhoppers has put out a great video on her YouTube channel.
Ash's video is terrific, yeah.
Really good stuff. Check that out. The Nerd Room, Generation X-Wing, Talk Star Wars, Rogue Squadron podcast. They've been doing some good stuff. They're actually in a race with Generation X-Wing to see who can get to episode 100 first. And the good stuff just keeps on coming, man. You can visit StarWarsCommonwealth.com, SW Commonwealth on Twitter, and definitely there on iTunes as well as a podcast provider. And lastly, you can also sign up for our newsletter. I don't pump that too hard on the show here, but head to tumblingsaber.com and just fill in your email address in the pop-up window, and we will send you our newsletter whenever we get around to actually sending them out, which is usually, I promise once a week, but that doesn't happen. So it's usually twice a month. And that's that. And we're back later this week with Journals of the Willing. Steve and I will be in your ear holes later this week. And until we get there, we thank you for listening, and we'll catch you then. Bye for now.
Every moment wanting all of you, and I believe I can save you. Just don't let me go, and I can see I'll be waiting, always waiting. Just don't let me go. Just don't let me go. Time goes on and I'm questioning all the things I've seen, crazy things I've seen as I'm watching you. I'm watching you walking away from me. Were you watching me? Was it just